Okay, so the first color we're going to make with our red, coral, orange, yellow kit is a bright red. So, and the color that we can make with the liquid concentrates, along with the pigments that we can choose to keep it a little bit towards a traditional red, or we can warm it up a little bit with the pigment that we have here, 0153. So I'm going to start like we do with all of our polishes, is by filling up our base. And then to achieve a bright red, we're going to use our red liquid concentrate and our pigment here, 0153. So I usually like to start with the pigment. I like to do this. You can do it either way. One of the other reasons I like to use this first, or use add my pigment first, is so that I can see it just a little bit better. So if you do have trouble seeing some of the details or smaller print or things like that, this is a way that you can just double check that everything is really stirred up really well. With this pigment 0153, this gives us kind of our base of a coral. I love, love, love this color. And so you can see it gives us kind of the swirly look or texture to this. It's still very, very, very see-through, and that's where our liquid concentrates are gonna come in. And obviously we've used these colors a lot, our liquid concentrate colors a lot. And so when we start to add these, we kind of know how they're going to behave or what they're going to do in our polish. But if this is one of your first times doing one of our kits, I would recommend only adding 1 drop at a time. And that is just to make sure that you don't go darker or deeper than you want to go, and you can really have more control over the color that you create. The other little tip that I have is sometimes these little bands that are here, these are safety bands, so that the liquid concentrate doesn't leak out when we ship these. I have started removing these because I don't want them to fall into my polish mixture here. They don't always, sometimes they never come off, but I've just been removing them just to make it a little bit more safer so I don't have any accidents. So my liquid concentrates here, the red, I'm gonna do 1 drop just so you all can see what that 1 drop does to my polish. So I'm gonna just it darkened it quite a bit, and this is a really traditional red, a little slightly more on the cool side, so that's how you're able to achieve a cooler side of a red with this particular kit. But still very translucent. And you can see the translucency here because you'll notice that when you test your color out over the black ink that is on our place setting, you can see the black clearly through it. And so that's a good guide to help you determine how translucent or opaque your polish is. This would be a fantastic base if you were to add glitter to this. So if you had one of our glitter packs and you wanted to make this a fiery glitter top coat, maybe this would be an amazing thing to add your glitter to. But I'm looking for more of an opaque finish that were not see-through with 2 coats. So that's what I'm going for here. So I'm gonna add, I'd like to add 7 drops. Now when I add these drops, the other options that I have with the other colors, like if I didn't want it to be just this red, I could choose to add white. I could choose to add yellow. So what would each of those do? The yellow would make it a warmer color. That would take me into my coral. And I could do that by a couple different ways. If I didn't want any shimmer in there, I would add this yellow liquid concentrate. Or I could add this, the yellow pigment that we have here. The other option would be to add something really a lot lighter, which is our bright lightning gold here. And this would make it a little warmer and a little bit lighter. This would make it a little warmer and not much lighter. And then if I were to add white to this, it would start to lighten it. It would start to make it a little bit more opaque. And depending on if I've added any yellow to it, it might make it a little more corally. But this is the color that I have right now. And you can see that is more opaque than it was before. It's still not where I want it to be, so I'm gonna go back to adding more of the red liquid concentrate. I'm gonna add another 7 drops. And I've only added 1 scoop of my 0153 pigment. The more I were to add of that, that would also help change the opacity of it. I am going to add another one of the 0153 pigments because this is looking a little too bright and I wanted it to have just a hint of a coral. So I'm going to add my 2nd scoop. I still want the bright red, but I still want a little bit more texture to it as well. And you can judge that, and you can judge it by just doing like what I'm doing here and testing the color swatches on the placemat, or you can even test them on your own nail. And that's definitely looking a little bit more about the color that I wanted. And you can add as much as 20 to 30 drops of the liquid concentrates to this. You don't have to be as afraid of them. When you add more than the recommended 3 scoops of the pigment, and they need to be flat scoops, if you add more than that by accident, then you tend to run into a polish quality that might not last very long in your bottle because it will tend to be a little bit more goopy. I'm gonna add 1 drop of white. And that 1 drop will go a long way, but the red is so potent that it'll be a very subtle difference. And so say for instance, I had added too much of the white by accident, say 2 or 3 drops came out, and I needed to correct that. What I would then do to make it more red would be to add more of my red liquid concentrate or to use my last scoop or a half a scoop of the 0153. That's kind of looking like what I want it to look like. You can see it's gotten less translucent as we've done our swatches. And I'd like it to be just a little bit more opaque, so I'm gonna add 5 more drops. And then I'm probably gonna add 1 more drop of the white because I wanna keep it bright. And I know that's gonna brighten it up quite a bit for me. Just 1 drop though. And that's definitely the bright red I was going for. Much more on the warmer side. If I wanted to keep going, I could add, I still have room for 1 more scoop and a few more drops, so I could still continue to tweak this, but I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm gonna go ahead and bottle it. So when you're bottling, you'll want to fill up your funnel 3/4 of the way full. Let all of the liquid fall down into the bottle before you continue to add more. We recommend doing this so that you don't overflow your bottle. You likely won't, but it's just kind of a safety thing so that you don't have a spill that you have to clean up. And then you'll do that again. And then the other thing that you can do is test your polishes out or practice with these different hands that are on here too. Once you have your polish bottled, you want to make sure that you don't go over the shoulder that's on the side. So as soon as you start to see the color creep up, just like I'm seeing here, you'll want to stop. You don't want to add any more than that because once you put your brush in and screw on the cap, you're going to have displacement. And sometimes the displacement with the brush being added to the bottle is what can overflow your bottle. So I'm going to stop here. And this is my nice warm red.